families. I support this bill. Thank you.
Catherine Delahunty.
Thank you very much, Mr Chair. Tēnā koutou te wharenui. I'm going to take a very brief call. I've just got a couple of strands that I want to think about. One is the Welfare Working Party, and the other is my own practical experience as a youth worker in the town of Thames, and also as a beneficiary advocate in the town of Gisborne. So, in fact, if you think about reality and experience, we've all got different experiences to bring to this debate. But one of my experiences working with young people who'd been expelled from school because the school was culturally inappropriate for them, there were no jobs in the town for them. And what's more, the more beneficiary bashing there was in the town, the less likely they were to get employed. So it's kind of interesting to think about the bill not just as a narrow set of clauses, but of the context in which it operates. And it is so hard for our young people to get respect when there is so much stigma associated with needing to be on a benefit at any time. The myth of welfare dependency needs to be put alongside the issue of wealth dependency. It's a much harder thing to change, people's dependency on wealth, than it is on welfare. Because in fact, you try and clean up the mess of the bankers on this planet who are actually dependent on having so much more money than everyone else, and try and get them away from their money, try and help them with their addiction to wealth, and that would be indeed a wonderful challenge. But the reality is that for many young people in this country where there are no jobs, they need our support. And so the debate comes about how do we give them support. Now, wraparound can either be a boa constrictor or a liberating experience. I don't think any of us are disputing that we need to be supporting our rangatahi, because that's what's important. But actually, wraparound is just another slogan. The reality is that this is about relationships. And the previous speaker talked about a community development approach. Well, somebody that's worked in community development too, and I don't claim to know it all, what I do know is that if there's private profit driving it, then it may distort the outcome for the most vulnerable people in it. And what the Welfare Working Party did was adopt an English model around private training providers, and they didn't present the evidence to those of us who went to their presentations. There was one I tried to go to, but they wouldn't let me in because they didn't want to consult with people who disagreed with them. But what has happened in England with these private service providers is that they get paid bonuses for meeting targets, and they have benefited. And guess what? The statistics around youth unemployment have not changed. So if anyone's interested in evidence, have a look at the private service provider model. Who benefits? Someone definitely does. Those private contractors benefit. It's a model about the privatisation of welfare. And you can call it all, you can use all those fabulous descriptions of wraparounds and responsiveness and all the other jargon. But as somebody that's worked with rangatahi, I know that they don't want our jargon and they don't want to be put on a card. They want to see us role model respect and human dignity for them and their human rights and provide them with real work. And that does not come from controlling them, and nor does it come from creating a welfare dependency industry, which those private contract providers will benefit from. So of course they love it, because they're going to see the big NGOs, see the big opportunity, the big money. But the genuine community development models are about quality relationships that have nothing to do with making a profit. And what I fear in taking some of the power away from the state is the accountability when things go wrong. Because how do you go back to a private contractor and demand a hearing? You can't. A young person cannot go back to a private training provider as they can to work an income and say, hey, I need a review of decision. How are they going to get a review of decision? And these are people who don't have a lot of power. You know, talking about the independent youth benefit, it's always been like, it's always been like getting through the eye of a needle, even getting that benefit. And now we're talking about making it even more prescriptive. Well, who's going to benefit? I can see who's going to benefit. That's the private training providers. But I don't see a benefit to young people in that approach. We need to look at what works. And if you're going to talk about Aotearoa, it's not about transporting models. What it's about is recognising that that community bought into the responsibility for the relationships with young people on a personal level. They didn't privatise it. They didn't say that welfare is a commodity that can be privatised so that people can meet targets and make money out of it. They said it's about our young people are at the heart of our community, and they made it real. And every community, whether it's South Auckland or others, Mr Chair, Mr Chair, Mr Chair.
David Clark.
Mr. Chair.